Welcome! It's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, well, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
The parents abandoned the baby. When he grew up, he got rich. Then he received an unexpected visitor. The story that you'll hear next happened in Estonia, more specifically in the town of Risti. This real event is undoubtedly one of our favorites, as it brings with it a really unexpected ending. The story was published in 2003, but it happened in the 1990s. Roman was raised by his maternal grandmother since he was 2 years old. Unfortunately, the boy was abandoned by his parents, who had become alcoholics. They left their little son in the apartment where they lived. There, they found him crying, and he was all dirty. In addition, they left without paying their rent for several months. The grandmother had to deal with this, and in order to not look bad to the landlord, she had to give almost all of her savings, since otherwise she could sue her daughter. The grandmother unfortunately lived on her pension, but now there was no more money. Next month, and having a small position of this, the responsibility was even greater, so he had to find a way to earn money. It would have been better to give him to an orphanage, but she didn't want to. She loved her grandson very much, and thinking about that made her feel very sad. So at her age, she went to the fields to work. When the pension arrived, she realized that the money was not enough. You have to pay for more food, school, and daycare. Then she had to keep working in the fields in the hot sun or heavy rain. However, on occasion, Roman's parents had arrived. The grandmother thought that perhaps they regretted leaving their son. She felt great joy, but that joy soon turned into great disappointment. They came only to borrow money. They said they had to pay a debt and that they would return the money as soon as possible. However, the months passed and the poor old woman did not receive her money. But one day her daughter came back once again. The old woman was happy to know that everything was not as bad as it was thought. But sadly for her, it was not to return her money, but to ask for more. This time her daughter told her she was having a hard time. Her husband was suffering from an illness and he needed the money. The kind-hearted old woman gave him what she had, and since then she hasn't heard from them for a long time. Meanwhile, little Roman was getting bigger and bigger, and thanks to his grandmother, he was able to educate himself. He also had the best grades in school. But one day, after many years of not seeing her dad, he showed up at her front door. Roman went to him to hug him, but the father pushed him away. Roman's father, the man who abandoned the boy, came once again to ask for money at the grandmother's house. But this time it was for a noble cause. Apparently, his wife was in the hospital. According to the man, she had very bad pneumonia. She told the old woman that she had to pay for very expensive medicines and they couldn't afford it. The older woman then did not hesitate to give her all the retirement per month and little savings she had, and she remained praying that her daughter will recover soon. She was unable to go to the hospital at that time because she could unfortunately lose her job. However, after 2 days, she was able to do so, so she took her grandson with her and they went to the hospital. But when they arrived, she learned something worse. She asked the nurse, "Miss, I want to see my daughter, please. My son-in-law told me she's here because of pneumonia." The nurse then asked her for her information, and immediately she replied, "Yes, she has arrived, but not because of pneumonia, ma'am, but because they found her on the street completely drunk. We had to put her through detox, and the police took her to prison after she got better. But I knew if she posted bail, she could get out. More, I don't know, ma'am. We haven't heard from her since." The old woman was left crying. How is it possible that your own daughter treats you this way? Why did all this lie to the poor woman, who felt guilty for not having educated her daughter well? She never missed something. She always fought to give her the best. She couldn't believe her daughter is like this, and she thought she failed at something. While that was going on, Roman looked at everything she suffered. He felt very sorry for his grandmother, but at the same time, he valued everything she did for him. So every time she was sad, he did everything he could to see her happy. Finally, he was admitted to university, and at the same time he acquired a job, and it was the same job that told his grandmother, "Dear grandmother, don't work anymore. You've done enough for me. From now on, I'll be the one to watch over you." Years had passed since he hadn't seen his parents. Sadly, the tragedy struck Roman's heart. His beloved grandmother could not bear sadness that I felt when I saw that his daughter did not even come to visit, and that he did not care about his son either. The old woman could not bear it, and the depression ended her life. Already on the day of the funeral, the only people who were in the last goodbye were the neighbors and Roman himself. However, the daughter and son-in-law did not go to say goodbye to her, even though Roman told them through an acquaintance. He wept and suffered greatly from that loss. After some time, Roman finished university and obtained the title of the best architect in the city, and had even founded his own business in honor of his grandmother. Little by little, he became a very wealthy man. The news that Roman had changed his life had become known, since he came from a very humble family, but that humility hadn't changed in him. He even helped poor or needy people. Thus that news reached his parents, so one day his father decided to go to Roman's house. He soon realized that the house had a security agent. So he stopped him and asked, "What do you want, sir?" "I come to see my son." "I have to talk with him. Let me in, it's urgent." The guard asked him again, "Yes, but I need to know what you want." "Look, my wife, Roman's mother, is very ill in the hospital, and I need our dear son to help us with medications and surgeries. You need to support us. We need the money, please." The guard then spoke on the intercom with Roman and said, "Outside there's a person who claims to be your father. He says that your mother is very ill and wants you to help them. They need money." Roman heard those last words, and a feeling of bitterness and sadness filled his being. He remembered how his beloved grandmother, who worked hard to earn a few pennies, gave it to them so that they could be better, without thinking about whether she lacked it or not. And they never thanked her, and moreover, they deceived her. So in that moment, he had the answer to his own father, or an answer to his grandmother should have given him in the beginning. Roman replied, "Tell him that I am not going to give him anything. I only had a grandmother and no one else. I had parents who abandoned me, and to this day that has not changed. I believe that person is lying. I do not have a father. Tell him, let him go, because otherwise I'll have to call the police." The guard then said to the man, "Sir, I think you already heard. No need to repeat. Leave right now." The man was dumbfounded and left saddened. He was not expecting this. Then he arrived at the hospital, and there was his wife, who really needed medicines and surgeries like lightness, since her liver had been damaged. This time it was true that the woman was ill, but by lying so many times to his own family, he led to a sad reality. They, from the beginning, wanted to be alone and live as they wanted at the expense of others. And now, look at them. Life taught them a hard lesson. Without a doubt, a story that tells us a lot. Sometimes children do not know how to appreciate their parents and take advantage of them with lies or simply because of the affection they have for them. Sadly, some parents don't put a stop to this, as they believe they're doing the right thing, which is not bad, but they don't realize that they're doing the wrong thing. There's a well-known phrase: if you don't give, don't take them away, and don't abandon your son either. You can regret it later. I hope this video has served you that phrase. Feel free to give us a thumbs up, comment, and share. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.